A new beginning. The key grated a protesting melody against the lock, a sound usually synonymous with the day's end and the promise of quiet. Tonight, however, it heralded something altogether new. Liam nudged the door inward, inhaling the familiar fragrance of aged timber and lemon polish. A flick of the switch illuminated the comforting disarray of his small apartment. The well-worn armchair, the precariously stacked bookshelf, the perpetually half-empty mug on the coffee table, each a silent testament to a life lived deliberately. He set his briefcase down, the soft thud swallowed by the sudden hush. Then, a tremor of anticipation buzzing beneath his skin, he surveyed the neatly made bed in the spare room. The freshly laundered towels folded on the dresser. Everything was meticulously arranged. A text vibrated in his pocket. ETA 15 minutes, traffic's a bitch. Liam's chest tightened. A familiar blend of anxiety and something softer, more profound. He'd anticipated this day for months, meticulously planning, mentally rehearsing countless scenarios. Yet its arrival felt like a jolt, a sudden tectonic shift in the careful architecture of his life. He padded into the kitchen, the cool tiles underfoot a grounding sensation. Coffee seemed too stimulating, anything stronger too early. He settled for a glass of water, the ice chiming softly as he filled it. Through the window, city lights shimmered like a distant tapestry against the bruised purple of the twilight sky. Liam had unhesitatingly offered his spare room to Noah. It was the least he could do for his closest friend, his steadfast anchor through the turbulent currents of adolescence and beyond. Noah, with his quiet resilience and unwavering loyalty, had been a constant since their scrawny teenage years, navigating high school's awkwardness side by side. When Noah enlisted, Liam felt a pang of loss, swiftly followed by a fierce surge of pride. Now, after 8 years of active duty, Noah was returning home, trading military life's structured chaos for civilian existence's uncertain freedoms. And Liam, ever the strategist, had prepared a soft landing. He distinguished the rumble of an approaching car, then the familiar crunch of tyres on gravel as it pulled into his driveway. His breath hitched. This was it. He moved towards the door, his heart a frantic drum against his ribs. A brief hesitation, then he pulled it wide. Noah stood on his doorstep, a duffel bag slung over one shoulder, a worn backpack clutched in hand. Streetlights cast long, distorting shadows, yet Liam recognized the familiar set of his jaw, the slight curl of dark hair escaping his baseball cap. He was leaner than Liam recalled, his frame honed by years of rigorous training. But his eyes, when they met Liam's, were unchanged. Deep, thoughtful brown, fringed by thick lashes. A hesitant smile touched Noah's lips. "Hey, man." "Hey," Liam managed, his voice a little rougher than intended. He stepped aside, gesturing him in. "Come on, you must be wiped." Noah nodded, crossing the threshold. The apartment, moments ago feeling spacious, now seemed to constrict, charged with a new, distinct energy. The air thrummed with unspoken stories, with years of shared history and the unknown promise of tomorrow. "Thanks for doing this, Liam," Noah said, his voice low, a hint of exhaustion beneath it. He dropped his duffel bag with a resonant thud. "Seriously, it means a lot." Liam waved a dismissive hand. "Don't be absurd. It's no bother. Just glad to have you back." He aimed for light casualness, but the sincerity was unmistakable. He was glad, more than glad. He'd missed Noah with an intensity he'd never allowed himself to acknowledge. "Your room's just down the hall," Liam continued, indicating the spare room. "Bathroom's opposite. Make yourself at home. Food in the fridge if you're hungry." Noah's gaze followed, sweeping over the apartment. "Looks great, man. Really great." He turned back to Liam, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. "You haven't changed a bit." Liam felt a blush creep up his neck. "I hope that's a compliment." He chuckled, trying to diffuse the sudden tension. "Come on, let me help with that." He reached for the duffel bag, but Noah had already scooped it up. "I got it," Noah said, his tone firm, almost reflexive. He carried the bag into the spare room, Liam following. The room, small but welcoming, was painted a soothing pale blue. Liam had aimed for comfort, adding a reading lamp and a small plant by the bed. Noah surveyed it, his expression unreadable. "This is great, Liam," he finally said, turning to him. Truly, thank you. Any time, Liam offered, his gaze lingering on Noah's face. 100 questions swarmed him about his service, his feelings, his future, but he held back, sensing Noah's need for space, for quiet. I'm going to shower, Noah announced, reaching for his backpack. Long flight. Yes, of course, Liam replied, stepping back. Towels are on the dresser. Shout if you need anything. He retreated to the living room, a complex cocktail of emotions swirling within. Relief at Noah's presence, a faint sadness at the weariness etched around his friend's eyes, and the persistent ache of his own unvoiced affections. Liam had harboured a secret love for Noah for years, a quiet, constant hum beneath the surface of their friendship. He'd never dared speak it, knowing it would likely shatter their fragile equilibrium. Noah was straight, always had been, and Liam had learned to bury his desires deep, to cherish the friendship as a precious, irreplaceable thing. He heard the shower running, the gentle murmur of water a comforting sound in the silent apartment. He busied himself preparing a quick dinner, pasta with a simple tomato sauce, easy and familiar. He set the table for two, the clinking of plates a small domestic sound. When Noah emerged, steam still clinging to his skin, he seemed more relaxed. His damp hair fell in soft waves across his forehead. He wore a faded t-shirt and loose sweatpants, civilian clothes that felt almost alien after years of seeing him in uniform. "Smells good," Noah commented, entering the kitchen. "You didn't have to." "Of course I did," Liam countered, stirring the sauce. "You're starving. I know it." They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes, the faint sound of forks against plates the only interruption. Liam stole glances at Noah, trying to decipher his mood, to read the subtle shifts in his expression. It was harder now, after so much time, so many unshared experiences. "So," Liam began, breaking the quiet, "what are your plans? Have you given it any thought?" Noah sighed, pushing a piece of pasta around his plate. "A little. Figured I'd decompress for a few weeks. Then, I don't know, maybe a trade. Something hands-on." He met Liam's gaze, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "It's a lot, you know, being out. It's different." "I can only imagine," Liam said softly, his heart aching for his friend. He knew the transition would be formidable. The military had been Noah's entire adult life. "Take your time. There's no hurry. You're safe here. No need to fret about anything." Noah nodded, a small, grateful smile gracing his lips. "That means more than you know." He picked at his food, then looked up again. "I saw your latest article in Architectural Review. It was really insightful. The one about sustainable design in urban spaces." Liam felt a warm flush spread across his cheeks. He hadn't expected Noah to have read it, let alone recall the topic. "Oh, thanks," he mumbled, genuinely pleased. "It's something I'm quite passionate about." "It shows," Noah said, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "You've always been good at that, seeing the bigger picture, how things fit together." The compliment, delivered by Noah, felt like a soft caress. Liam's chest swelled with a quiet joy. They talked a little more about Liam's work, the challenges of his architectural firm, the late nights and demanding clients. Noah listened intently, asking thoughtful questions, his presence a grounding force. Later, as they sat on the sofa, a comfortable distance between them, Liam found himself recounting his recent trip to Italy, the ancient ruins and vibrant art. Noah listened, head tilted slightly, his eyes fixed on Liam's face. The familiarity of their easy conversation, the way they could resume their friendship as if no time had passed, was a balm to Liam's soul. "I still can't believe you managed to visit all those museums in a single trip." Noah chuckled, a genuine laugh that eased the tension in Liam's shoulders. "You always were a whirlwind." "I had to make the most of it," Liam defended, a smile playing on his lips. "And I brought you back something." He retrieved a small, intricately carved wooden box from a shelf. "It's a replica of a Roman puzzle box. I thought you'd appreciate the craftsmanship." Noah took the box, his fingers tracing the delicate carvings. His brow furrowed in concentration as he tried to discern its mechanism. Liam watched him, a soft warmth spreading through him. It was moments like these quiet, shared connections, that he cherished most. He recalled the nascent days of their friendship, Noah always the protector, Liam the dreamer, Noah had been the one to confront bullies, to offer a steadying hand when Liam faltered. And Liam, in turn, had offered Noah a glimpse into a world beyond their small town, a world of books and art and boundless possibilities. As the evening deepened, a comfortable silence settled over them. The city hummed softly outside, a distant lullaby. Liam felt a profound sense of peace, a feeling he hadn't realized he'd been missing until this very moment. Noah was here, in his home. Eventually, Noah stifled a yawn. "I think I'm going to turn in. My body clock is completely off." "Good idea," Liam agreed, standing. "Get some rest. We can sort things out tomorrow." Noah stood as well, and for a moment they simply faced each other. The space between them felt charged, laden with the weight of their shared past and the uncertainty of their future. "Thanks again, Liam," Noah said, his voice a low rumble. "For everything?" "Anytime, Noah," Liam replied, his voice a little shaky. He longed to reach out, to offer a comforting touch, but he held himself back. He understood the boundaries, even as his heart yearned to transgress them. Noah offered a small nod, a half-smile playing on his lips, then turned and walked towards his room. Liam watched him go, the door closing softly behind him. He stood in the living room for a long time, the lingering scent of Noah's soap and the faint echo of his presence filling the space. The apartment, once a sanctuary of solitude, now felt transformed, imbued with a new energy, a new possibility. Liam knew this was merely the prologue. The path ahead would be long, fraught with adjustments and challenges. But for the first time in a long time, Liam felt a stir of hope, a quiet anticipation for what this new beginning might unfold. He just had to be patient, and he had to guard his heart, even as it yearned to be laid bare. Settling in the morning light, diffused by Liam's kitchen curtains, painted the space in soft amber hues. Noah, still in the sleep-rumpled T-shirt he'd borrowed, leaned against the counter, nursing a mug of coffee. The silence between them was different today, less charged with the novelty of reunion, more settling, like dust motes finding their permanent resting places. "Thanks again for this, man," Noah said, his voice a low rumble. He gestured vaguely around the apartment. "Seriously, it's a lot to come back to." Liam, stirring his own coffee, offered a small smile. "Any time, you know that. Besides, I actually like having someone else to complain about the coffee machine with." He'd gone out early to buy a better blend, a small indulgence he wouldn't normally make for himself. Noah chuckled, a genuine sound that warmed the room. "Fair enough, though I'm pretty sure I could sleep standing up right now." "Jet lag?" "And 8 years of institutionalized living," Noah corrected, taking a slow sip. "Everything feels loud and quiet all at once." Liam understood. He'd read countless articles about veterans returning home, the sensory overload, the struggle to reacclimate. He felt a familiar protective instinct stir within him, a need to buffer Noah from the harsher edges of this new reality. "Take your time. There's no rush." They fell into a comfortable rhythm over the next few days. Noah spent his mornings on Liam's sofa, laptop open, navigating the labyrinthine world of veteran benefits and job applications. Liam, working remotely, would steal glances at him, observing the furrow in Noah's brow, the occasional frustrated sigh. He'd offer a cup of tea, a quiet suggestion, or simply a presence that seemed to ground Noah. One afternoon, Liam found Noah staring blankly at his computer screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Everything all right?" Noah ran a hand through his already dishevelled hair. "Just trying to translate led a tactical reconnaissance unit into something a civilian employer might actually understand." He let out a short, humourless laugh. "Turns out elite soldier isn't exactly a transferable skill for a software company." Liam sat on the armrest of the sofa, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from Noah. "It's about more than just the job title, you know. It's about leadership, problem-solving under pressure, strategic thinking, team coordination. Those are all things companies value." Noah turned his head, his gaze meeting Liam's. There was a weariness in his eyes that Liam hadn't seen 8 years ago. "Easy for you to say. You've been in this world the whole time, and you've been protecting it," Liam countered softly. "That counts for something." He reached out, a fleeting impulse, and gently squeezed Noah's shoulder. The muscle beneath his palm was taut. "Give yourself a break. It's a process." Noah's tension seemed to ease slightly. He nodded, a barely perceptible movement. Yeah, I guess. That evening, as Liam cooked dinner, a hearty chili, one of Noah's old favourites, Noah wandered into the kitchen. He leaned against the doorframe, watching Liam chop vegetables with practised ease. You're good at this, Noah observed. Years of practice, Liam replied, not looking up, and a burning desire to not eat instant noodles every night. I remember your mum's cooking, Noah mused. She always made the best lasagna. A pang of nostalgia, sweet and sharp, went through Liam. Yeah, she did. She'd be thrilled to see you. His parents lived a few hours away, and he knew a visit was inevitable, but he hadn't pushed it yet, sensing Noah needed to acclimate first. Noah was quiet for a moment. Then, have you dated much? The question caught Liam off guard. He nearly nicked his finger with the knife. Here and there. Nothing serious. He kept his voice even, not wanting to betray the sudden flutter in his chest. He cleared his throat. You? Not really. Hard to maintain anything when you're deploying every 6 months. Noah shifted, pushing away from the doorframe. Never seemed fair to them, or to me. Liam nodded, focusing intently on the simmering pot. He knew that, of course. He'd always imagined Noah with someone strong and brave, and someone who could understand the life he led. But the thought had always brought a dull ache to his own heart. As the days blended into weeks, Noah started to explore the city, tentatively at first, then with growing confidence. He took long walks, rediscovered old haunts, and even joined Liam for a few runs in the park. The military rigidity in his posture began to soften, replaced by a more relaxed ease. One Saturday, Liam was working on a particularly complex coding problem when he heard the distinctive clang of the front door. Noah walked in, a small smile playing on his lips, carrying a box of donuts. Peace offering, he announced, setting them on the coffee table. My treat. Just got back from the VA and somehow I managed to navigate the bureaucracy without losing my mind. Liam laughed, pushing his laptop aside. That deserves a medal, honestly. He reached for a donut, a maple bar, his favourite. This is great, man. Thanks. As they sat on the sofa, sharing the sugary treats, Noah seemed more animated than Liam had seen him in a while. He recounted a funny anecdote about a mix-up with paperwork, his eyes sparkling with amusement. Liam found himself captivated, not just by the story, but by the way the light caught the flecks of gold in Noah's irises, the subtle crinkle at the corners of his eyes when he smiled. You know, Noah said, wiping powdered sugar from his chin, it's different, being back, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. He paused, looking directly at Liam. Having you here helps. A lot. Liam's heart did a little flip. He swallowed, trying to appear nonchalant. Glad I can be useful. More than useful, man, Noah insisted, his voice earnest. You're my anchor right now. Seriously. Everyone else just wants to know about the war or what I'm doing next. You just let me be. The sincerity in Noah's eyes was overwhelming. Liam felt a blush creep up his neck. He wanted to say so much, to confess the depth of his feelings, to tell Noah how much he cherished every shared moment. But the words stayed trapped, a familiar knot in his throat. That's what friends are for, he managed, his voice a little rougher than he intended. Noah's smile faltered slightly, a flicker of something unreadable passing across his face before it was gone. Yeah, friends. A week later, Liam came home to find Noah pacing the living room, a phone pressed to his ear, his expression grim. No, I understand that, but it's been 3 weeks, Noah was saying, his voice tight with frustration. And I explicitly stated on the form that I needed a copy of my discharge papers for a job interview next Tuesday. He ran a hand through his hair, agitated. Look, can I just speak to someone who actually knows what's going on? He listened for a moment, then let out a frustrated grunt. Fine, thanks. He slammed the phone down onto the coffee table, the sound echoing in the apartment. Everything all right? Liam asked, concern etched on his face. Noah turned, his shoulders slumped. No, everything is not all right. That was the VA. My disability claim is apparently stuck in some bureaucratic black hole, and they can't find my damn discharge papers. The interview I have next week, the one I've been busting my ass preparing for, It requires those papers, and I don't have them. He kicked at the leg of the coffee table, the wood groaning softly. It's just one thing after another, Liam. I'm trying to move forward, but it feels like I'm constantly fighting an uphill battle against invisible enemies. Liam watched him, a wave of empathy washing over him. He knew this feeling, the helplessness in the face of insurmountable red tape. He walked over to Noah, placing a hand on his arm. "Hey, take a breath." Noah looked at him, his eyes blazing with a mix of anger and despair. "I can't. I feel like I'm drowning here, man." "You're not drowning," Liam said firmly, his voice calm and steady. "You're just frustrated, and you have every right to be." He squeezed Noah's arm. "What do you need? What can I do?" Noah's gaze softened, the fire in his eyes dimming slightly. "I don't know. I need to figure this out." "Okay," Liam said, thinking quickly. "Let's break it down. Who did you talk to? What did they say exactly?" He moved to the sofa, pulling out his laptop. "Let's look at the process online. There has to be a way around this." For the next 2 hours, Liam sat with Noah, methodically going through every option. He found alternative contact numbers, drafted an email to a veterans advocate, and even suggested physically going to the local VA office the next morning. Slowly, painstakingly, the knot of frustration in Noah seemed to loosen. He started to contribute, offering details, remembering specific dates and names. By the time they finished, well after dinner, Noah looked exhausted but calmer. "I don't know what I'd do without you, man," he said, leaning back against the sofa cushions, a sigh escaping his lips. Liam's heart thrummed. "You wouldn't have to do it alone. That's the point." He looked at Noah, really looked at him. The vulnerability in his posture, the shadows under his eyes, a fierce tenderness surged through him. He wanted to pull Noah into a hug, to offer more than just logistical support. But he held back, as always. Later that night, Liam lay in bed, the apartment silent save for the distant hum of city traffic. He replayed the evening in his mind, Noah's frustration, his quiet gratitude. Liam knew he was walking a fine line, offering support without crossing the invisible boundary between friendship and something more. He cherished these moments, these glimpses into Noah's inner world, even as they intensified his own longing. He wondered if Noah would ever see him as anything more than a safe harbour, a friend who was always there. The thought was a familiar ache, a constant companion to his secret love. He just hoped that one day Noah would look at him and see a different kind of home. The next morning Noah was up early, a determined glint in his eyes. "Ready to tackle the beast?" he asked, a hint of his old humour returning. Liam smiled. "As I'll ever be. Coffee first?" They navigated the bureaucracy of the VA office together, a united front against the endless paperwork. Liam, with his sharp organisational skills, kept track of forms, names and department numbers, while Noah, drawing on his military discipline, remained calm and articulate, even when faced with unhelpful clerks. By the end of the day, they had a provisional copy of Noah's discharge papers and a promise of the official ones within the week. Walking out of the building, into the late afternoon sun, Noah let out a whoop of triumph. He threw an arm around Liam's shoulders, pulling him into a brief, tight hug. "We did it, man! We actually did it!" Liam felt a rush of exhilaration, part relief for Noah, part the sheer joy of Noah's touch. He laughed, a genuine, uninhibited sound. "Teamwork makes the dream work." Noah pulled back, but his arm lingered on Liam's shoulder for a moment longer than strictly necessary. His eyes, bright with success, met Liam's. "Seriously, Liam, I couldn't have done that without you. You're incredible." The compliment, the warmth in Noah's gaze, sent a jolt through Liam. He could feel the blood rushing to his face. "Just glad I could help," he murmured, trying to keep his voice steady. They celebrated that evening with take-out pizza and beer, sitting on the living room floor, relishing their small victory. Noah talked excitedly about the upcoming job interview, planning his answers, his enthusiasm infectious. Liam listened, offering advice and encouragement, his heart swelling with pride and a quiet, persistent hope. He knew he was playing a dangerous game, letting his feelings deepen with every shared laugh, every late-night conversation, every moment of easy companionship. But he couldn't stop. He wouldn't. Not when being near Noah, helping him, seeing him thrive, felt like the most important thing in his world. He just had to be careful not to fall too far, not to let his carefully constructed dam of platonic friendship burst. Not yet. Noah caught Liam's eye across the room, a lazy smile on his lips. You know, this is good. Really good. This whole civilian life thing. He took a long swig of beer. I think I'm actually starting to get the hang of it. Liam smiled back, a genuine, heartfelt smile. I think you are too. And in that moment, he allowed himself to believe, just for a second, that maybe, just maybe, this new life Noah was building could include him in a way he'd always dreamed. Confusing feelings. The scent of brewing coffee usually signalled the start of a productive day for Liam. This morning, however, it was tinged with an unfamiliar anxiety. Noah sat across from him at the kitchen table, meticulously buttering a piece of toast, his brow furrowed in concentration that seemed disproportionate to the task. "Everything all right, Noah?" Liam asked, trying to keep his voice light as he poured them both a mug. Noah looked up, his gaze distant. "Yeah, just thinking." He took a bite of toast, chewing slowly. "It's weird, being here." Liam leaned back in his chair. "Weird good, I hope?" A faint smile touched Noah's lips. "Yeah, good. Mostly. It's just different. You've done a lot for me, Liam, more than I could ask for." Liam felt a familiar warmth spread through his chest. That's what friends are for. The word felt like a small, sharp pebble in his mouth, but he swallowed it. Later that afternoon, while Liam was at his computer, working on a freelance design project, Noah wandered into the living room, a stack of books from Liam's shelf clutched in his hand. He stopped at the doorway, hesitating. "Hey," Liam said, turning from his screen. "Find anything interesting?" Noah gestured vaguely with the books. "Just looking. You have a lot of history books." "Love history," Liam admitted, "especially ancient civilizations. There's so much to learn from how people lived and built things so long ago." Noah nodded, thumbing through a worn copy of a book on Roman architecture. "I never really paid attention to stuff like this. In the army, it was always about the next mission, the immediate objective." He looked up, his eyes meeting Liam's. "You see the world differently, don't you?" Liam shrugged, a blush creeping up his neck. "Maybe. I just try to appreciate the details." Noah put the books down on the coffee table and sat on the sofa. "I've been thinking about the VA appointment, how you just handled everything. I would have been lost." "You wouldn't have been lost," Liam corrected gently. "You just needed someone to navigate the paperwork maze with you. It's designed to be confusing." "Still," Noah insisted, "you had my back." He paused, then added, almost too quietly to hear, "It's comforting." The word hung in the air, a delicate, unlooked-for gift. Liam's heart gave a little lurch. He wanted to reach out, to reassure, but he merely nodded, a silent acknowledgement. The conversations drifted to other things, to the possibilities of job applications and therapy, but the echo of Noah's comforting resonated within Liam long after. A few weeks later, Noah had settled into a routine. He'd started going for runs in the park, the rhythmic thud of his feet on the pavement, a tangible sign of his returning stamina. He'd even taken to helping out around the apartment, fixing a leaky faucet and reorganising the cluttered pantry with an efficiency that surprised Liam. One evening they were watching a movie, a gritty war drama that Liam had half regretted putting on. Noah, usually stoic, shifted uncomfortably on the sofa beside him during a particularly tense scene. Liam instinctively reached for the remote, about to change the channel, when Noah spoke. "No, leave it," he said, his voice low. "It's fine." But Liam could feel the tension radiating from him. He saw Noah's jaw clench, his eyes fixed on the screen but not truly seeing it. Without thinking, Liam's hand found Noah's arm, a light, reassuring touch. Noah flinched, then relaxed into the contact. His muscles, which had been rigid, softened under Liam's fingers. Liam quickly withdrew his hand, feeling a sudden flush of embarrassment. He blamed the dim lighting for the heat in his cheeks. "Sorry," Liam mumbled. Noah turned his head, his gaze searching Liam's face in the faint glow of the television screen. "Don't be," he said, his voice surprisingly soft. "It was nice." Liam's breath hitched. He couldn't look away from Noah's intense stare. There was something in Noah's eyes, a vulnerability, a questioning, that made Liam's stomach flutter. The air between them thickened, charged with an unspoken current. Liam felt a desperate urge to lean closer, to bridge the small gap between them, but he held back, his own insecurities screaming at him. He forced himself to focus on the movie, though the images on screen blurred into an unintelligible mess. The next day, a small, innocent encounter threw Noah's burgeoning feelings into sharper relief. Liam was on a video call with a client, a young woman named Chloe, discussing a website design. He was animated, laughing at her jokes, his usual professional demeanour softened by an easy camaraderie. Noah, passing through the living room, paused, his attention caught by the unfamiliar sound of Liam's playful voice. He watched as Liam's eyes crinkled at the corners when Chloe said something amusing, how he ran a hand through his hair in a familiar gesture when explaining a complex technical point. A strange, unpleasant sensation tightened in Noah's chest. It was a feeling he hadn't experienced in years, a prickle of something he couldn't quite identify. It wasn't anger, not exactly, more like a dull ache, a possessiveness that felt out of place. Why did it bother him so much that Liam was laughing with someone else, that Liam seemed so comfortable, so charming with this woman? When Liam ended the call, he found Noah standing by the window, his back to him. "Everything okay?" Liam asked, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Noah turned, his expression unreadable. "Just wondering who that was." "Client," Liam said, sensing a subtle tension. "Chloe. She's starting a new online boutique." Noah nodded slowly. "She seemed nice." The word felt like sandpaper on his tongue. "She is," Liam confirmed, oblivious to the undercurrents. "We've been working together for a few months now. She's got a great vision." Noah just hummed in response, then left the room without another word. Liam frowned, a flicker of confusion unsettling him. Noah had been so open lately, so much more like his old self. This sudden withdrawal was perplexing. That evening, Liam had plans to meet an old university friend for dinner. As he was getting ready, Noah appeared in the doorway of his bedroom. "Going out?" Noah asked, his voice neutral. "Yeah, just grabbing dinner with Mark," Liam replied, buttoning his shirt. "Haven't seen him in ages." Noah's gaze swept over Liam's crisp shirt and freshly styled hair. "You look good." "Thanks," Liam said, feeling a familiar blush creep up his neck. He avoided Noah's eyes, suddenly self-conscious. "Don't stay out too late," Noah added, his voice a little rougher than before. Liam paused, his hand on the doorknob. "Why?" Noah's shoulders tightened. He looked away, then back at Liam, his eyes holding a confusing mix of emotions: concern, something akin to irritation, and a yearning that Liam couldn't quite decipher. "Just don't," Noah mumbled, then turned and walked back into the living room. Liam left the apartment feeling a strange mixture of apprehension and a nascent, thrilling hope. He tried to dismiss it, to tell himself Noah was just worried about him, still adjusting to the idea of Liam having a life outside of being his anchor. But a small, insistent voice in the back of his mind whispered something else entirely. Dinner with Mark was pleasant enough, but Liam found himself distracted, his thoughts constantly drifting back to Noah's strange behaviour. He kept glancing at his phone, a nervous energy buzzing beneath his skin. He cut the evening short, eager to get back, though he wasn't sure why. He arrived home to a quiet apartment. The living room was dark, but a sliver of light escaped from under Noah's bedroom door. Liam changed into his pyjamas, his mind replaying Noah's words, his expressions. The way Noah had looked at him earlier, the unexpected intensity in his eyes. Liam sat on the edge of his bed, the silence of the apartment amplifying the pounding of his heart. He felt a pull, an almost magnetic force, towards Noah's room. It was illogical, impulsive, but he couldn't fight it. He stood up, walked to Noah's door, and hesitated, his hand hovering over the knob. He heard a soft sigh from within. Taking a deep breath, Liam gently pushed the door open. Noah was sitting on the floor in the dim light of his bedside lamp, his back against the wall, a book unread in his lap. He looked up, his eyes wide, startled. "Liam," he said, his voice a little hoarse, "you're back." "Yeah," Liam replied, stepping into the room. "Is everything okay?" Noah closed the book, placing it carefully on the floor beside him. He looked at Liam, his gaze lingering, dissecting. "No," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "No, it's not." Liam's stomach clenched. He walked further into the room, sitting on the edge of the bed, opposite Noah, his heart thumping a frantic rhythm against his ribs. "What is it?" he asked, his voice soft, coaxing. Noah ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of deep discomfort. I don't know what's wrong with me." He looked up, his eyes pleading. "When you were talking to that woman, Chloe, I felt this thing, like a knot in my stomach. And tonight, when you left, I couldn't stand it." Liam held his breath, barely daring to hope. "I kept thinking about you out there, with someone else," Noah continued, his voice gaining a desperate edge. "And it made me angry. Not at you, but just angry." He paused, searching for the right words. "And then I realized it's not just tonight. It's been building." He looked at Liam, his gaze raw, vulnerable. "When you touched my arm the other night, during the movie, I didn't want you to let go. And when you look at me like you do, when you just are here, with me, I feel safe. And something else. Something I don't understand." Noah pushed himself up, moving to sit beside Liam on the bed, his body radiating a nervous energy. He turned to face Liam, his knee brushing against Liam's. "I keep thinking about you, Liam," Noah confessed, his voice thick with emotion. "All the time. I see you, and my chest feels tight. And when you smile at me, I feel like I'm falling." He reached out, his hand hovering uncertainly, then gently cupped Liam's jaw, his thumb stroking Liam's skin with a feather-light touch. "This," Noah whispered, his eyes locked on Liam's, "this isn't friendship, is it? Not for me, anyway. I think I'm in love with you, Liam." The words hung in the air, potent and fragile. Liam felt a sob catch in his throat, tears pricking at his eyes. Years of unspoken longing, of silent devotion, culminated in this moment. Noah's thumb continued its tender caress, sending shivers down Liam's spine. "Oh, Noah," Liam breathed, his voice choked with emotion. He reached up, covering Noah's hand with his own, holding it tightly against his cheek. I've been in love with you for years." Noah's eyes widened, a dawning realization replacing the confusion. A small, hopeful smile began to form on his lips. Tentative at first, then spreading into a genuine, breathtaking grin. He leaned closer, his gaze still searching Liam's, as if to confirm the truth of his words. "Really?" Noah whispered, his voice full of wonder. Liam nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. Tears spilled freely down his cheeks, but they were tears of pure joy, of overwhelming relief. Noah's hand tightened on his jaw, and then, slowly, deliberately, he leaned in, closing the small distance between them. His lips met Liam's. Softly at first, a tentative exploration, then with a deepening certainty, a release of all the pent-up emotions they had both carried for so long. It was a kiss that tasted of unspoken words, of quiet strength, of a future unfolding. It wasn't fireworks, not yet. It was something far more profound. A foundation, a promise, a beginning. And in that kiss, in the quiet embrace of Noah's room, Liam knew with absolute certainty that his anchor had finally found his own, and that they would navigate whatever storms came next, together. Unspoken words. The morning after, a curious quiet settled over Liam's apartment. Sunlight, usually a cheerful intruder, seemed to tiptoe through the blinds, casting stripes across the living room floor. Noah was already awake when Liam stirred, the scent of coffee brewing a gentle invitation from the kitchen. He found Noah leaning against the counter, a mug cupped in both hands, staring out the window at the city waking up. The air between them, usually so easy, felt charged, humming with an unspoken energy. Liam cleared his throat and Noah turned, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Apprehension? Hope? Before it was masked by a familiar, easy smile. Too easy. "Morning," Noah said, his voice a little gruff, a little softer than usual. He jostled a second mug. "Made you some." "Thanks." Liam took the mug, his fingers brushing Noah's, a spark leaping between them that felt both new and ancient. He sipped the coffee, its warmth spreading through him. "Sleep well?" Noah's gaze drifted back to the window. "Better than I have in a long time." The unspoken hung in the air, thick and sweet. "Because you were there. Because of last night." They ate breakfast in a similar hush, the clink of cutlery against ceramic the loudest sound in the room. Liam found himself studying Noah, the way his dark hair fell across his forehead, the subtle flex of his jaw as he chewed. Every casual glance felt laden with meaning, every touch of their hands as they reached for the same jam jar, a deliberate act. The kiss, raw and electric, had been a portal, opening up a landscape neither of them had dared to explore. Later, as Liam worked on a new design brief, the vibrant chaos of his creative process usually absorbing him completely, he found his focus fractured. He kept glancing at Noah, who was meticulously cleaning his rifle, a familiar, almost meditative ritual. The metallic click and whir of the parts being oiled, the faint scent of gun oil had once been just background noise. Now it was a soundtrack to his swirling thoughts. He cleared his throat. "Noah," he began, then hesitated, unsure how to proceed. How did one discuss an earth-shattering kiss that redefined a decade of friendship? Noah paused, looking up, his brow furrowed slightly. "Yeah?" "About last night," Liam started, feeling a flush creep up his neck. Noah's hands stilled on the rifle. His gaze was direct, unwavering. "What about it?" Liam took a deep breath. "It was unexpected." A ghost of a smile touched Noah's lips, a genuine one this time, soft around the edges. "Unexpectedly good, I hope." "Yes," Liam admitted, a relieved chuckle escaping him. "Unexpectedly good." He set down his stylus, but also confusing. Noah leaned back, resting the rifle on his lap. "Confusing how?" "Everything," Liam confessed, gesturing vaguely. "Us. Our friendship. What this means. I've wanted you for a long time, Noah. Longer than I care to admit, but I never thought—" He trailed off, the vulnerability catching in his throat. Noah's expression softened, a tenderness in his eyes that made Liam's heart ache. "I know," he said quietly. "I think I knew. Deep down, or at least I felt it. Your steadiness. Your way of just being there. It was a lifeline." He paused, searching for words. "For years, out there, everything was simple. Orders, survival. Then I came back, and suddenly everything was shades of grey. And then there was you, and suddenly things started to make a different kind of sense." "A different kind of sense?" Liam prompted, his voice barely a whisper. Noah met his gaze. No masks, no walls. "The kind of sense where I realised I didn't just want you in my life, Liam. I wanted you. All of you." He gestured with his free hand. "The way you laugh. The way you get so absorbed in your designs, you forget to eat. The way you look at me, like I'm worth looking at." Liam's chest tightened. "You are," he whispered, the truth of it a palpable thing between them. Noah's gaze dropped to his hands, resting on the rifle. "I've spent my life compartmentalizing, Liam. Pushing things down. The army teaches you that. Emotions are a weakness. But with you, it's like you chipped away at all of it, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but this feeling." He looked up again, his eyes raw. "And it scares the hell out of me." "It scares me too," Liam admitted, reaching across the coffee table to take Noah's hand. His skin was warm, calloused, and utterly familiar. "But it also feels right." Noah squeezed his hand, a silent affirmation. "What do we do with right?" he asked, a hint of his old wry humour returning. Liam smiled, a genuine, unfettered smile that reached his eyes. "We figure it out. Together." The confession, the raw honesty of it, cleared the air, but also opened up a fresh wave of uncertainty. Their days took on a new rhythm. The easy camaraderie remained, but beneath it a nascent intimacy bloomed. There were longer touches, lingering gazes, a subtle shift in the way they occupied the same space. Liam found himself anticipating Noah's presence, every small gesture a confirmation of the burgeoning connection. One evening they were watching a sci-fi movie, a genre Liam loved but Noah usually tolerated. Noah, however, was unusually engaged, leaning forward, his arms stretched across the back of the sofa, his fingers brushing Liam's hair. The casual touch sent shivers down Liam's spine. When a dramatic kiss played out on screen, Noah shifted, his eyes meeting Liam's. The unspoken question hung between them, heavy with desire. Liam leaned in, slowly, giving Noah every opportunity to pull away. Noah didn't. Instead, he met Liam halfway, his lips soft, hesitant at first, then firming, deepening. It wasn't the frantic, desperate kiss of the night before, but a slow, deliberate exploration, a silent conversation between their mouths, their bodies. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Noah's thumb traced the line of Liam's jaw. Is this okay?" Noah whispered, his voice husky. Liam's answer was another kiss, bolder this time, filled with all the longing he'd suppressed for years. The next few weeks were a delicate dance of discovery. They spent their evenings talking, really talking, peeling back layers of their pasts, sharing vulnerabilities neither had ever voiced before. Noah spoke of the camaraderie and terror of combat, the unspoken pacts forged under fire, and the hollow ache of returning to a world that didn't understand. Liam, in turn, shared his own struggles with feeling unseen, his dreams often dismissed as frivolous by his more conventional family, and the loneliness that had settled in despite his vibrant creative life. One afternoon, Liam was preparing lunch, humming along to an indie playlist, when Noah walked into the kitchen. He watched Liam for a moment, a quiet intensity in his gaze. "Liam," Noah began, his voice low. Liam turned, a question in his eyes. Noah walked closer until he was standing directly behind Liam, his presence a warm anchor. He reached out, his hands resting gently on Liam's shoulders, then sliding down his arms, his touch a slow, deliberate caress. Liam's breath hitched. Noah leaned in, his lips brushing Liam's ear. I think I'm falling in love with you," Noah murmured, his voice thick with emotion. The words, so long unspoken, felt like a dam breaking. Liam froze, a wave of profound emotion washing over him. Disbelief, joy, a fierce protectiveness. He turned in Noah's embrace, his hands finding purchase on Noah's waist. "You think?" he whispered, a tear escaping the corner of his eye. Noah's eyes, usually so guarded, were open, vulnerable, filled with an intensity that stole Liam's breath. "No," he corrected, his gaze unwavering. "I know, I'm in love with you, Liam." The air crackled with the weight of the confession. It was a revelation that had been building, silently, steadily, since Noah had first walked back into Liam's life. Liam felt his own heart swell, a sensation akin to blossoming. He reached up, cupping Noah's face, his thumbs stroking his stubbled cheek. "I'm in love with you too, Noah," he confessed, the words a joyous release. "I have been for so long." Noah's smile, then, was incandescent. He pulled Liam closer, their bodies meeting in a comfortable, familiar embrace. It was the kind of hug that spoke volumes, a silent promise of everything that was yet to come. They stood there for a long moment, simply holding each other, the scent of cooking spices mingling with Noah's clean, masculine scent. The anxieties, the unspoken questions, the years of longing, all seemed to dissolve in the warmth of their shared embrace. Later that evening, curled up on the sofa, a comfortable silence settled between them. Liam rested his head on Noah's shoulder, his hand tucked into Noah's. The city lights twinkled outside, a soft backdrop to their private world. "This is new," Noah said softly, his fingers tracing patterns on Liam's arm. "It is," Liam agreed, a contented sigh escaping him. "And it's wonderful." Noah pressed a kiss to Liam's hair. "I never thought I'd feel this way again, or ever, really. I thought that part of me was broken, or just never existed." "You're not broken, Noah," Liam murmured, his voice fierce with conviction. "You're the strongest person I know, and this is just another part of you, opening up." Noah chuckled, a low rumble in his chest. "Thanks to you." Liam shifted, looking up at him. "Not just thanks to me, thanks to us, to what we found." Noah's gaze was tender. "What we found." He pulled Liam closer, holding him securely. "I want to make this work, Liam. Whatever this is, I want to build something real with you." Liam's heart soared. Me too, Noah. More than anything. The future, once a vague, undefined stretch of time, now felt tangible, filled with possibility. The cosmic ballet continued outside their window, but within the confines of Liam's apartment, a new star had been born, its light warm and steady, promising to illuminate their shared path forward. The journey was just beginning, and for the first time in a long time, both Noah and Liam felt ready for whatever it might bring, as long as they faced it together. The confession. The morning after, a soft, uncertain light filtered through the bedroom window, painting the room in hues of hesitant grey and rose. Noah woke first, the ghost of Liam's hand still warm on his hip. He lay perfectly still, every nerve ending tingling with a new exquisite awareness. The air in the room felt thick with unspoken words, a tangible weight that pressed down on his chest. It wasn't an unpleasant weight, not entirely, but it was there. He turned his head slowly, finding Liam still asleep, face peaceful, lips slightly parted. The sight twisted something in Noah's gut, a protective tenderness he hadn't fully acknowledged until now. This was more than friendship, it had been for a long time. He slipped out of bed as quietly as possible, the cool air raising goosebumps on his skin. He pulled on a pair of sweats and a t-shirt, then made his way to the kitchen, the floorboards creaking softly underfoot. The silence of the house was profound, broken only by the hum of the refrigerator. He started a pot of coffee, the rich aroma soon filling the space, a comforting anchor in the swirling chaos of his thoughts. He leaned against the counter, staring out the window at the dew-kissed garden, trying to make sense of the seismic shift that had occurred. It wasn't just the physical intimacy, though that had been undeniably profound. It was the way Liam had looked at him, the vulnerability in his eyes, the absolute trust in his touch. And Noah, in turn, had felt an opening within himself he hadn't known was possible. A raw, exposed part of his soul that Liam had somehow coaxed into the light. The fear was still there, a low thrum beneath the surface, but it was overshadowed by a burgeoning sense of hope, a fragile, exquisite possibility. Liam appeared in the doorway a few minutes later, hair rumpled, eyes still heavy with sleep. He wore a pair of soft cotton pyjama pants, his chest bare, and the sight of him sent a fresh jolt through Noah. Their gazes met, and for a long moment neither spoke. The air throbbed with the unspoken. "Morning," Liam finally managed, his voice raspy with sleep. He walked over to the coffee maker, pouring himself a mug, his movements slow and deliberate. "Morning," Noah replied, his voice a little hoarse. He watched Liam, searching his face for any clue, any sign of regret or apprehension. But Liam's expression was unreadable, a careful mask. They drank their coffee in silence, a new kind of silence, one laced with an almost unbearable tension. It wasn't awkward, not exactly, but it was charged, brimming with unarticulated feelings. Noah felt a knot tightening in his stomach. He couldn't let this linger, not between them. "Liam," he started, his voice barely above a whisper. Liam looked up, his eyes wide and attentive. "Last night," Noah continued, taking a deep breath, it wasn't just a moment, was it?" Liam's mug clattered softly as he set it down on the counter. He met Noah's gaze directly, and this time the mask was gone. His eyes were open, vulnerable, reflecting the turmoil in Noah's own. "No," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "No, it wasn't." "Good," Noah breathed, a wave of relief washing over him, so potent it almost buckled his knees. "Because for me, it was everything." He swallowed hard, pushing past the tremor in his voice. I think I'm in love with you, Liam." The words, once trapped and suffocating, now spilled out, raw and unfiltered. He watched Liam's face, searching for any flicker of rejection, but all he saw was a deepening well of emotion. Liam's eyes welled up and a single tear traced a path down his cheek. He reached out, his hand trembling slightly, and cupped Noah's jaw. "Noah," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion, "I've been in love with you for years, longer than I can even remember." The confession hung in the air between them, a fragile, beautiful thing. It felt like the unlocking of a hidden door, revealing a brightly lit room that had always been there, just out of sight. Noah leaned into Liam's touch, closing his eyes for a moment, letting the truth of it sink in. The years of unspoken longing, the quiet devotion, the unwavering support, it all made sense now. The pieces clicked into place with a profound, resonant clarity. When he opened his eyes again, Liam was still looking at him, his gaze full of an aching tenderness. I never thought you'd see me that way," Liam confessed, his voice barely audible. "You were always so focused, so unreachable in a way. And I just figured, well, I'd be your friend, your anchor, and that would be enough." Noah's thumb instinctively brushed against Liam's cheekbone. "Unreachable?" He scoffed softly, a humorless laugh escaping him. "Liam, you were my only constant, my only safe harbour. Every time I came back, every time I called, you were there, and I took it for granted." "I took you for granted?" He paused, the weight of that realization pressing down on him. "I was so wrapped up in what I was doing, in surviving, in just existing. I didn't let myself think about anything else, anything softer, anything that felt like home." He tightened his grip on Liam's hand. "But you were home, Liam. You always were. I didn't have the language for it. Or maybe I was too afraid to find it." He shook his head slowly. "I saw you as my best friend, the person who knew me better than anyone. But then I started noticing other things. The way your laugh brightened the room, the way you'd hum while you cooked, the way you always knew exactly what I needed without me having to say a word. And it started to feel different, more. I just didn't know what more was." Liam's smile was watery, but genuine. "I felt the same way," he admitted. "Every time you'd leave, it was like a piece of me went with you. And every time you came back, it was like the world righted itself again. But I never let myself hope for more. I couldn't risk it. Not with you." "Why not with me?" Noah asked, his brow furrowed in confusion. "Because you were everything," Liam said simply, his voice cracking. "You were my world. And the thought of losing you, of damaging what we had, just because of some selfish longing, I couldn't bear it." He pulled his hand away from Noah's jaw, moving to wrap his arms around Noah's waist, resting his head against Noah's chest. Noah's arms instinctively went around him, holding him close. "Selfish?" Noah murmured, burying his face in Liam's soft hair. "There's nothing selfish about wanting love, Liam, especially not from me." He held him tighter, feeling the steady beat of Liam's heart against his own. I wish I'd seen it sooner. I wish I hadn't been so blind." Liam pulled back slightly, looking up at him, his eyes still shimmering with unshed tears. "It's okay, Noah. We're here now. That's what matters." "It is," Noah agreed, a fierce protectiveness rising within him. "But I need you to know, this isn't a fleeting thing for me. This isn't some reaction to everything else. This is real. This is profound. And I want to build something with you, Liam. Something lasting." Liam's breath hitched. "You do?" "More than anything," Noah confirmed, his voice rough with emotion. He reached out and gently wiped away a tear from Liam's cheek. "I want to wake up next to you every day. I want to share everything with you. The mundane, the challenging, the joyful. I want to be your partner in every sense of the word." A slow, radiant smile spread across Liam's face, illuminating the room more brightly than the hesitant morning sun. "Oh, Noah," he whispered, a sound of pure joy and disbelief. "I want that too. And more than I've ever wanted anything in my life." He leaned in, pressing a soft, lingering kiss to Noah's lips. It was a kiss of promise, of hope, of long-awaited dreams finally realized. It tasted of coffee and fresh starts and the sweet, intoxicating flavour of shared vulnerability. When they broke apart, their foreheads rested against each other, their eyes closed. "So," Noah said, a new lightness in his voice, a profound sense of peace settling over him. "What now?" Liam chuckled, a soft, happy sound. "Now we build. We figure it out. We take it one day at a time, but with our eyes wide open, finally seeing each other for who we truly are and what we truly mean to each other." He pulled back, a mischievous glint in his eye. "And maybe," he added, a playful smirk touching his lips, "we officially turn this decades-long friendship into something a little more intimate." Noah's heart swelled with an emotion so powerful it threatened to overflow. He leaned down and kissed Liam again. Deeper this time, a silent promise in the press of his lips. "I could definitely get on board with that," he murmured against Liam's mouth. "Definitely." The weight in the room was gone, replaced by an exhilarating lightness, a sense of boundless possibility. The future, once a daunting, uncertain landscape, now stretched before them, inviting and full of shared promise. They had confessed their truths, laid bare their hearts, and in doing so had opened a door to a love that had been patiently waiting, growing in the quiet spaces between them for years. It was a love forged in friendship, tempered by time, and finally, bravely, brought into the light. And for Noah, after so long in the shadows, that light felt like everything. They spent the rest of the morning talking, really talking, for the first time in a way that truly mattered. They sat at the kitchen table, still holding hands, sipping cold coffee, unravelling years of unspoken thoughts and feelings. Liam confessed his quiet anxieties, his fear that Noah would leave again, not for war, but for a life that didn't include him in this new, profound way. Noah, in turn, admitted the depth of his internal struggles since returning, the way Liam had been the only consistent thread holding him to reality, even before he understood why. He spoke about the insidious pull of his PTSD, the nightmares, the disassociation, and how Liam's steady presence had been a silent balm, a grounding force he hadn't fully appreciated until now. "It wasn't just about having a place to stay, Liam," Noah said, squeezing his hand. "It was about having you, about knowing you were here. It's the only thing that's made any of this feel possible." Liam's eyes softened, filled with a renewed wave of tenderness. "And you, Noah," he replied, his voice thick, "you make my life possible. You always have. Even when you were half a world away, just knowing you were out there, fighting for something, it gave me a sense of purpose. And now—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Now having you here, really here, with me, it's like everything finally makes sense." The conversation flowed, unhurried and authentic, weaving together the threads of their past and present into a tapestry of shared understanding. They talked about the practicalities too, the need to navigate this new stage slowly, respectfully, giving each other space to adjust. They acknowledged the challenges that lay ahead, both individually and as a couple, but there was an underlying current of unwavering commitment, a silent agreement to face it all together. As the sun climbed higher, casting bright rectangles across the kitchen floor, they rose from the table, a new rhythm settling between them. They moved with an unconscious grace, their hands brushing, their eyes meeting in silent communication. The air between them still thrummed with a beautiful, intoxicating energy, but it was no longer tense. It was alive. It was hopeful. It was love. Later, as they stood side by side, washing the breakfast dishes, Liam leaned his head against Noah's shoulder, a comfortable weight. "So, about that commitment to a romantic future," he murmured, his voice laced with playful mischief. "Is that something we're going to formalize, or are we just going to continue existing in this blissful, unspoken arrangement?" Noah chuckled, the sound deep and resonant in his chest. He turned, pulling Liam into a gentle embrace, his hands resting on Liam's hips. He looked down into Liam's sparkling eyes, a profound sense of belonging settling over him. "How about we start with a proper date?" he suggested, a soft smile gracing his lips. "And then we take it from there, one step at a time, building something real, something that lasts." Liam's eyes shone. "I'd like that very much, Noah." He leaned in, pressing a soft, lingering kiss to Noah's lips, a silent promise in the tender gesture. Very much indeed. A new chapter. The morning sun, filtered through the bedroom's sheer curtains, cast a soft ethereal glow across the rumpled sheets. Noah shifted, his arm still draped possessively around Liam's waist, pulling him closer. The quiet hum of the house felt different, imbued with a new kind of resonance, a silent affirmation of the words exchanged in the dark hours. Liam's hand, resting lightly on Noah's chest, traced the faint scar above his heart, a relic from a distant battlefield. It was a gesture of quiet tenderness, a silent promise whispered without sound. "Morning," Liam murmured, his voice husky with sleep, his breath warm against Noah's neck. Noah tightened his embrace, burying his face in Liam's hair, inhaling the familiar scent of cedar and something uniquely Liam. "Morning," he echoed, the single word carrying the weight of everything that had transpired. The ease with which they now lay intertwined felt both utterly natural and utterly revolutionary. It was a landscape of intimacy he hadn't known he craved, a quiet harbour after years of tumultuous seas. They remained there for a long time, simply existing in each other's presence, the world outside momentarily forgotten. The unspoken agreement from the night before resonated deeply. This was real, this was happening, and it was beautiful. Eventually the growl of Noah's stomach broke the spell. Liam chuckled, a low, rumbling sound that vibrated through Noah's chest. "Hungry?" "Starving," Noah admitted, reluctantly loosening his hold. He rolled onto his back, stretching his arms above his head, feeling the pleasant ache in his muscles. "What's on the agenda for today, then, for us?" The last word felt foreign on his tongue, yet undeniably right. Liam propped himself up on an elbow, looking at Noah with an expression that blended affection with a hint of playful mischief. "Well, first coffee. Then I was thinking we could tackle that overgrown rose bush by the porch. It's been bothering me for weeks, and I could use an extra set of hands." Noah grinned. "Sounds like a solid first date. Pruning and coffee." Liam's smile softened. "Every day with you is a first date, Noah. A new discovery." That afternoon, under the benevolent gaze of a clear blue sky, they worked side by side in the garden. The scent of damp earth and freshly cut roses filled the air. Liam, surprisingly adept with the pruning shears, expertly trimmed the thorny branches, while Noah, wearing heavy-duty gloves, gathered the cuttings into a wheelbarrow. There was a comfortable rhythm to their movements, a wordless communication built on years of shared history, and now, a burgeoning future. As Liam reached for a particularly stubborn branch, his hand brushed against Noah's. A jolt, electric and warm, passed between them. Liam's eyes met Noah's, and for a moment the shears were forgotten. The simple touch held a profound significance, a silent acknowledgement of the new current flowing between them. "Careful with those thorns," Noah murmured, his voice a little rougher than usual. Liam nodded, a faint blush creeping up his neck. "Always. Don't want to get pricked." Later, covered in dirt and smelling faintly of roses, they sat on the porch swing, sipping iced tea. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple. "This feels good," Noah said, leaning back, his shoulder brushing Liam's. "Normal, but better than normal." Liam leaned his head against Noah's shoulder, a sigh of contentment escaping him. "It's the kind of good I've dreamt of for a long time, Noah. The kind I almost gave up on." His voice was soft, laced with a vulnerability that tugged at Noah's heart. Noah turned his head, pressing a gentle kiss to Liam's temple. "You never have to give up on anything with me. Not anymore." He felt a fierce surge of protectiveness, a desire to shield Liam from any future disappointment, any hint of the pain he'd carried in silence for so long. The following weeks unfolded with a gentle grace. Their days were filled with a comfortable blend of routine and discovery. They cooked together, their hands brushing as they chopped vegetables, a simple shared meal transformed into an act of intimate connection. They watched movies curled on the sofa, Noah's arm around Liam, fingers intertwined. The physical closeness, once a tentative exploration, now felt as essential as breathing. One evening, while Liam was engrossed in a book, Noah found himself simply watching him. The way the lamplight highlighted the subtle curve of Liam's jaw, the gentle furrow of his brow as he concentrated, the slight curl of his hair at the nape of his neck. A profound sense of peace settled over Noah, a quiet understanding that this was where he belonged. This was his home, not just the house, but the man within it. Liam eventually looked up, catching Noah's gaze. A soft smile touched his lips. "Everything all right?" Noah walked over, sinking onto the cushion beside Liam. He reached out, gently tucking a stray strand of hair behind Liam's ear. More than all right, he confessed, his voice thick with emotion. I keep thinking about everything. About how long you waited. How much you gave. Liam's hand found Noah's, squeezing it gently. There was nothing to give, really. Just being here. And waiting wasn't a burden, Noah. It was hope. Still, Noah insisted, his thumb tracing the back of Liam's hand. I was so blind. So wrapped up in my own head. My own struggles. I almost missed it. Almost missed you. The thought sent a cold shiver down his spine. The idea of a life without Liam, now that he knew what it could be, was unbearable. You didn't miss me, Liam corrected, his eyes shining with a deep, unwavering affection. You found your way back, and that's what matters. Noah leaned in, resting his forehead against Liam's. I want to make it up to you. For all the years. For all the doubt. Liam's voice was a whisper. You don't have to make up for anything. Just be here. Be with me. Noah pulled back slightly, his gaze unwavering. I want to introduce you to my parents. Properly. As my boyfriend. The word felt foreign, exhilarating and terrifying all at once. His parents, conservative and traditional, had always envisioned a specific path for him, one that didn't include a man. Liam's expression softened, a mixture of surprise and profound gratitude. Are you sure, Noah? You don't have to rush into anything. I understand if it's difficult. He knew Noah's family background, the expectations that had always weighed on him. I'm sure, Noah said with conviction. More than sure. This isn't just about us, Liam. It's about me, finally living my truth. And you're a part of that truth, the most important part. He paused, then added, and I want to meet your family too. Your sister, your parents, the whole crew. Liam's smile was radiant. They'll love you. My sister Sarah has heard so much about you over the years. She'll probably think she knows you already. The conversation with Noah's parents, however, was less idyllic. Noah chose a Sunday afternoon, driving to their suburban home with a knot of anxiety tightening in his stomach. Liam, sensing his apprehension, had offered to come along, but Noah insisted on facing this alone first. He needed to set the foundation, to explain things in his own words, before introducing Liam into what could be a volatile situation. He sat across from them at the meticulously set dining room table, the familiar scent of roast chicken filling the air, a stark contrast to the unfamiliar territory he was about to navigate. Mum, Dad, Noah began, his voice steadier than he felt. There's something important I need to tell you. His mother, always observant, had already sensed his unease. Is everything all right, dear? You look serious. Everything is more than all right, Noah corrected, taking a deep breath. It's wonderful, actually. I'm in a relationship with Liam. A beat of silence stretched, heavy and suffocating. His father, usually quick to offer an opinion, simply stared at him, his brow furrowed in confusion. His mother's hand flew to her mouth. Liam? His mother finally managed, her voice hushed. Your friend Liam? But, Noah, he's a man. Yes, Mom, Noah said, his voice firm. He's a man. And I'm in love with him. He met their gazes, refusing to look away, refusing to back down. This wasn't just about Liam. It was about his own integrity, his own happiness. His father cleared his throat, his expression unreadable. Son, are you sure about this? This is very unexpected. I've never been more sure of anything in my life, Dad, Noah replied, his conviction ringing clear. Liam is kind. He's supportive. He's everything I never knew I needed. He helped me through the hardest time in my life, and he saw me, truly saw me, when I couldn't even see myself. His mother began to tear up, her eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and concern. But your future, Noah, children, a family, what about all of that? Noah reached across the table, taking his mother's hand. Mum, I can still have a future. I can still have a family. It just might look a little different than you imagined, and it will be a family built on love, just like yours. He knew this wouldn't be an easy conversation, and it certainly wasn't a resolution, but it was a start. He had planted the seed, and now he had to nurture it, even if it meant weathering a storm. Back at Liam's, the familiar comfort of the house wrapped around Noah like a warm embrace. Liam was waiting for him, a worried frown on his face. "How did it go?" Liam asked, his voice gentle. Noah sighed, sinking onto the sofa. "As expected, I suppose. Not a complete disaster, but not exactly a celebratory champagne moment either. Mom cried. Dad was quiet. They're confused. They have questions." He ran a hand through his hair, suddenly feeling exhausted. "But I told them about us, and I didn't back down." Liam sat beside him, pulling him into a comforting hug. "That's all that matters, Noah. That you were honest. That you stood your ground." He kissed the top of Noah's head. "It'll take time, but they'll come around. They love you." "I hope so," Noah murmured, leaning into Liam's warmth. "I really hope so." He felt a flicker of doubt, a shadow of the old fear that had kept him guarded for so long. But looking at Liam, feeling Liam's arms around him, that shadow receded. He had faced so many battles, and this, he realized, was just another one, and he wasn't alone this time. "Hey," Liam said, pulling back slightly, his eyes sparkling mischievously. "You know what always makes things better?" Noah raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "Ice cream," Liam declared, already pulling Noah to his feet. "And a really bad movie. And maybe a little bit of dancing in the living room, just to shake off the parental tension." Noah laughed, a genuine, heartfelt sound that chased away the lingering shadows. Sounds perfect. Absolutely perfect. As they danced around the living room, a ridiculous pop song blasting from the speakers, Noah felt a lightness he hadn't experienced in years. Liam, uninhibited and joyful, spun him around, their laughter echoing through the house. The challenges with his family were real, the road ahead uncertain. But in this moment, with Liam in his arms, Noah knew he was exactly where he was meant to be. This new chapter, though it had its complexities, was ultimately a story of love, acceptance, and an unwavering commitment to build a life together, one perfectly imperfect dance step at a time. The world outside might be slow to understand, but within these walls, within their embrace, there was only clarity,